joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you and a blessing for me. Blessing not a blessing and nothing can hold it back. What is for me? Oh yes it will be. Me now go make them steal my joy, steal my joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you and a blessing for me. Cause Him promised to provide everything my heart desires, as long as my delight is in the Lord. So I'll bless His holy name, cause His promises remain forever and ever. Don't make nobody trick you. Blessings flowing over here like a fountain. Don't make nobody trick you. No. Hands up to the sky, as the Father pours. Blessing out a blessing and nothing can hold it back. What is for me? Oh yes it will be. Me now go make them steal my joy, steal my joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you and a blessing for me. Blessing not a blessing and nothing can hold it back. What is for me? Oh yes it will be. Me now go make them steal my joy, steal my joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you and a blessing for me. Everywhere I look is blessing, favor all over me. All because I put my Jesus in front of everything.
I'm going to kind of stage. Michael Morton, Mrs. Morton, Prime Minister of the Honorable Mark Brantley, representative of the keynote speaker, Ms. Shes Christopher, government officials, Reverend Sloan James, and other officials of the organizing committee of ANSAR, national syndicates, Nevis and Anguilla, invited guests, performers, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, good morning. My name is Eric Evelyn, alongside me is I will be your host for today, as we specially welcome all of us who are here for this 18th Anguilla Nevis Association's reunion, ANSAR. This, of course, is the 18th edition, and it is being hosted here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis from the 22nd until the 24th of June. Most of the activities are being hosted at St. Kitts at the Marriott Hotel, but we are indeed very privileged here in Nevis to have the prestigious opening ceremony being hosted here at the beautiful Nitak in beautiful Queen City, Nevis. And the theme for this year is renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. And of course, we have so many returning nationals here from various parts of the world, from Europe, from North America, and we are delighted to have you. I understand we have a contingent of returning nationals from Nevis as well, who have joined us here this morning, and we are indeed delighted to have all of you present. We do sincerely apologize for the late start. We had some problems coming over from Sydney late, but we want to let you know that we have planned a wonderful day for you here on Nevis. After we have the ceremony and the lunch, we will be going on a guided tour of Nevis. We want to wish you well and we trust that you have a wonderful day on beautiful City Nevis. We have specifically asked the Lord for good weather, and I think we'll have good weather today. It was a bit threatening. Great to enjoy Nevis. So once again, let me welcome you here, and I trust that we'll have a wonderful celebration today over Easter Gifts. Of course, there's dinner tonight as well. So I want to wish you well, and I trust that all of you journey to the Federation of Cities, specifically for the celebration, that you will have a memorable experience. This is, of course, being the second time that ANSAR is involved in the Federation. Last hosted here in 2008, so now 10 years later, we're back here in Cities. So once again, welcome everyone. And now I ask my co-host Nella to introduce the Reverend who will bring us the invitation.
I now call on Reverend Salome James of the Nevis Christian Council. Please stand for the invocation. The invocation will be followed by the national anthem of Anguilla, immediately followed by the national anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis, which will be rendered by Mr. Devon Cornelius. So kindly remain standing. And Reverend Salome James is representing the Nevis Evangelical Association.
Good morning, everyone. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we are thanking you for this moment in our lives. We are thanking you that you have spared us. You have been good to us. In spite of who we are or what we are, we give you thanks. We thank you for this association that has deemed it fit to come together, that people will meet and people will know each other, and there will be unity among families and friends. We are grateful, O God, for the weather. We are grateful for the love that is shared among one another. And God, we are asking you most of all that you will bless our country. We are asking your blessing upon the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We know, Lord God, that everywhere in the world there is turmoil. And we are asking that you will watch over us. We are asking that you would allow us to look to you, because you are the one who is in control of all of our lives. You are in control of all of our governments. And Lord, you have brought us together for a purpose. We're asking that this purpose will be fulfilled today. We're thanking you that there is going to be a reuniting. There is going to be a strengthening of relations. And at the end of the day, may we be happy that we all met. Whatever is prepared today, God, we're asking your blessing on the proceedings. We're asking you that you would give to us the energy to go through today and all that is planned. And for all that you will do for us, God, we thank you, for we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Before Mr. Cornelius renders the national anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis, we will have the pre-recorded national anthem of Angola. The national anthem of St. Kitts and Nevis.
O land of beauty, our country where peace abounds, thy children stands free on the strength of will and love, with God in all her struggles. St. Kitts and Nevis be our nation bound together with a common destiny. As stalwarts we stand for justice and liberty, with wisdom and truth, we will serve and honor thee. No sword, no spear can conquer, for God will sure defend. His blessing shall forever to posterity extend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cornelius. You may be seated. I now present to you the Shekinah Dance Theater.
Anguilla Nevis and Sinkies Association, 1984, they had their first reunion. And from since 1988, every 2 years, ANSAR family does celebrate. We done went to Montreal, Toronto, New York and Miami, Birmingham, Leeds and Manchester. Now we are back in St. Kitts and Nevis to bring national and friends together. ANSAR, we all are one, caring for each other, a band of lover brothers and sisters. It's a time to rekindle all alliances and establish and strengthen our relationship, celebrating our achievement and uniting our people. ANSAR, keep up the good works that you do. ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, aye, ANSAR, Anguilla Nevis and Condition. ANSAR, nobody die. ANSAR, ANSAR, celebrating one big union. Ay, ay, ay. Diggy, 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 diggy. And a political and non-profit sectarian proceed from this event to go to a charity organization, creating business investment, exchanging ideas culturally, for an excitement in this week of activity. After living in the diaspora, we have plenty to offer. That is why we chose to do ANSAR. So sing along with me and join the ANSAR party with the bad boy King Ayatollah. ANSAR, we all are one, caring for each other, a band of lover brothers and sisters. It's the time to rekindle all alliances and establish and secure our relationship, celebrating our achievement and uniting our people. ANSAR, keep up the good works that you do. ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, Anguilla Nevis and Condition. ANSAR, aye, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, celebrating one big union. ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, Anguilla Nevis and Condition. ANSAR, aye, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, celebrating one big union. ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, Anguilla Nevis and Condition. ANSAR, aye, ANSAR, oui, ANSAR, celebrating one big union.
Thank you very much, Shekinah Dance Theatre. Our next presenter is Mr. Calvin James, Chair of ANSAR. But before he comes to the podium, I will read his profile. Mr. Calvin James was born in Central Bastille, St. Kitts, the first child of 3 children from Mr. Edwin and Ivy James. His dad hails from the Commonwealth of Dominica, and his mom from the beautiful parish of St. Peter's, St. Kitts. Calvin's grandfather was also born in the Nature Isles of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and his grandmother was from Anguilla. Through the influence of his parents at a very early age, Leadership and entrepreneurial skills were very much taught by his parents. His dad being a prominent leading building contractor, and his mom a well-known seamstress in St. Peter's. Calvin's early years and career path were guided by that foundation. He received early counsel and employment with his dad's building construction business. He later gained employment with Batter Shoe Store organization in St. Kitts. Very quickly and within 3 years, after several management training programs, workshops, seminars, and practicums, Calvin became the youngest Batter Shoe Store retail store manager in the Eastern Caribbean islands and Barbados. He credited much of his success with the Batter Shoe organization to Mr. Denzel Renwick, general manager and later Leeward Islands district comptroller. Mr. Renwick afforded training opportunities in Trinidad and Barbados for Calvin, and with his self-driven motivational beliefs, provided the precept to his career path. Calvin believes that to achieve success, it is imperative to have a career vision, determination, positive attitude, and be guided by Christian beliefs. In pursuit of his education and career goals, Calvin moved to Canada primarily to further his education. He is a professional industrial engineer and business management consultant. He has been employed within the private and public engineering and business sectors in Canada and at the municipal, provincial, and federal governments level. His career path offered him consultancy opportunities that included extensive travel across Canada, the United States of America, England, Germany, and South Africa on business and related engineering matters and assignments. Since his return to the Federation, Calvin has been involved in a number of business and educational opportunities at management level. He's a cricket enthusiast and holds coaching certifications from Canada and the Cricket of the West Indies. He's also a certified Cricket West Indies match referee. Calvin is a very strong believer in fairness and clear communication in sports and his professional and personal life. This, he believes, is fundamentally needed to succeed. Calvin is currently the chairman of ANSAR 2018 Local Organizing Committee. He is also working on a huge landmark project to be developed in St. Kitts, and this, he believes, will transform, improve, and sustain a healthier lifestyle to all who become involved. Calvin is quoted as saying, "I am humbled, and it is indeed a privilege and most appreciated to be given the opportunity to be the chairman of this prestigious event. ANSAR has grown over the past 35 years. It is noble to be recognized, and that in a few from now, St. Kitts and Nevis will be celebrating 35 years of independence." Join me in welcoming Mr. Calvin James.
Greetings all. Before I start my address this morning, my request that we take one moment to reach out, embrace, or extend a hand of greeting to the person next to you, in front of you, behind of you, and say to that person, "Welcome to ANSAR 2018. This is our reunion, a family of oneness, as expressed in our theme, A Time to Celebrate. Thank you very much. His Excellency, Deputy Governor Michael Morton and his wife, Honorable Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Premier of Nevis. We are sad to say that we don't have a representative today from Angola, but we still should recognize them. I believe they might be hearing us at this particular time because I understand that this event is being streamed. So I'd like to greet them from Nevis. Other members of government, Nevis Island administration and the federal government, ANSAR delegates, executive members of the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals Association, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, greetings again. I'm truly humbled, delighted, and proud to be given this opportunity as chairman of ANSAR 2018 to convey fraternal greetings and best wishes to you on behalf of the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals Association, and in particular, ANSAR 2018 Local Organizing Committee. Indeed, it is a delight and an honor to welcome all of you to this auspicious event, the 18th celebration of Anguilla, Nevis and St. Kitts Association reunion. I believe that it is of great significance to remind us all of the theme for ANSAR 2018, which is, it's not here, it's just behind the curtain, but I'll repeat it, renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. I'll repeat, I think it's very important for us to really carry this throughout the weekend and beyond. Renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. Very significant. I'm also convinced that we are here because we dearly love our countries, Anguilla, Nevis, and St. Kitts. The people, the many interests that we share, the culture, the food, the historical and political accords, and the intense love and joy that accompanies being with family, friends, and acquaintances. In an atmosphere of amicable exchanges, networking, uniting, renewing, strengthening, and establishing new relations. We are now in celebration of this auspicious event. Nevertheless, we must reflect and give thought to persons who have given much to ANSAR and even more to their respective organizations. Permit me, therefore, at this moment, to ask that we pause for 1 minute of silence in respect of our fallen sister, Helen Marcella Byron Baker, from the Kittitian American Benevolent Association in New York, who passed away on April 25, 2018. Marcella was a well-known, caring person who loved people and contributed much to CABA, and by extension, ANSAR. Also, with much respect and condolences to his wife. And by extension, ANSAR. Also, with much and condolences to his wife, Miss Norma Richards, and family of brother and founder of the past president of St. Kitts Returning Nationals Association, Mr. George Richards, who also passed away on November the 2nd, 2017. He was also a strong advocate and supporter of ANSAR, who led the team to ANSAR 2014 Leeds reunion and secured the bid for what is today ANSAR 2018. May their souls rest in peace, as I ask that we stand for 1 minute silence, please. Thank you very much. It is worthy to note, to mention that over 4 years ago, the hard working in planning and preparing to host ANSAR 2018 began. It was then in Leeds, England, 2014. Although I personally could not attend due to the recent passing of my dad, that in spite of that, I joined with all of the other members in being overjoyed when we first learned of the initial success in our bid to host ANSAR 2018. That moment of celebration was further confirmed in Montreal at ANSAR 2016. I always believed that sharing the activities of this special ANSAR event with and in Nevis was always my vision and the right thing to do. Despite and in this regard, there were some internal challenges. Consequently, the host of this auspicious event, the St. Kitts and Nevis Returning Nationals Association and the ANSAR family gave its full support to the realization of my vision. This was also fully endorsed by the former Premier, Honorable Vance Amory, and the current Premier, Premier Brantley, and his entire team, led by Ms. Sheila James, for the tremendous support given to my local organizing committee for ANSAR. In organizing this ANSAR 2018 opening event in Nevis, please give them a round of applause. However, it would be remiss of me not to thank the federal government and Honorable Prime Minister Harris. And the Honorable Lindsey Grant, in particular, for their kind assistance and consistent intervention. ANSAR 2018 would have been extremely challenging, if not impossible, to bring us here to this level. They also need to be given a round of applause. They also need to be given a round of applause. May I have a round of applause? Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also with guidance, hard work, and commitment, sacrifices and prayers, blessings and support given to the entire family of ANSAR. The St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals, and in particular, my local organizing committee, that brought us to this point today. Equally important and worthy of note is our sponsors. Kindly take a moment to view our sponsors as we peruse and parade the event after this immediate celebration. Now we are here, and I'm extremely delighted and grateful to see and welcome all of us here together. At this historic moment, to renew, strengthen, share, exchange, unite, and celebrate our achievements as one people. It is in this view and atmosphere that I firmly believe that together we can move mountains, as it is indicated again in the ANSAR logo. I further strongly believe that Nevis has properly set the ambience in regard to what is expected during this event. I would urge that we all enjoy every moment of this complete and, what I may add, invaluable package, including the cultural performances, welcome remarks, featured speeches, meeting old and new friends and family, the food representing the taste of Nevis, the taste of the islands, business connections, the economic development of our islands, a few of our beautiful islands, friendly people, and the list goes on. We could not be, and this could not be, a better place to celebrate our achievements. In so doing, let us pause for a moment to give God thanks for bringing us thus far to the 18th celebration of Anguilla, Nevis, and St. Kitts Association Union. Shall we say together with gusto, hip, 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 hooray. Hip, 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 hooray. Hip, 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 hooray. In closing, I would like to share in part with you a very important report from the World Bank Global Knowledge of Partnership on migration and development, otherwise known as NOMAD. This I first learned of through the address by the Honorable Attorney General Vincent Byron in his address at the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals 18th Annual Dinner and Dance held in December 15, 2017 in St. Kitts. This information is useful to know, and I found it to be compelling interest, and it primarily recorded the remittances inflows made by St. Kitts and Nevis nationals living abroad. This is very important for us to really ponder for 1 minute on this, ladies and gentlemen. I quote, back in 1980, money sent back home to St. Kitts and Nevis by Kittitians and Nevisians who lived abroad amounted to $1 million. In 1999, the year that the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals was established, coincidentally, remittance sent back home to St. Kitts and Nevis amounted to $26 million. Now, remittances account for a little more than double that amount and is an estimated 5.6% of GDP 2017. Furthermore, St. Kitts and Nevis nationals who live abroad send home more money than the nationals of other Eastern Caribbean Currency Union countries who live abroad. The World Bank NOMAD has compiled remittance inflow data for the independent countries of the ECCU and found that St. Kitts and Nevis not only receive the most remittances on an annual basis, but the Federation receives as much as double the amount of remittances than other member countries annually. End quote. May I add, and I believe, Anguillians who lived abroad, remittances, as it relates to the percentage of GDP, is very close to that of St. Kitts and Nevis. ANSAR family, friends all, I share this information for us to reflect for a moment the importance of ANSAR, the importance of coming together to exchange, network, and share information, the impact that we all have on the development of our countries is enormous and indispensable. Therefore, my wish, my hope, my expectation is that as nationals and friends, we use this glorious opportunity to solidify and exemplify the theme of ANSAR 2018, renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will enjoy the best ANSAR ever. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. Let me at this time acknowledge the presence of Mr. Stedman Truss, our Cabinet Secretary, and the reigning Miss Culture, Miss Kalitra Swanston. It's wonderful to have you. And let me at this time just personally congratulate Mr. James for his excellent leadership in putting ANSAR 2018 together. I think he has done a marvelous job, he and his organizing committee. I know he has worked tirelessly, as well as the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals Association. I know he would have journeyed to St. Kitts many times. He would have called me several occasions. He would have come to my office on many occasions. And of course, the hard work has borne fruit. And that is why we are here today, to celebrate. And of course, the ANSAR and the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals Association, they're all embracing. And that is why I will now call to the podium a representative of the Jamaican Kittitian Division Association to address us, please. Well, I've been told that they'll be doing an item, so we will welcome the person or persons who will represent the Jamaica Kittitian Division Association. JAMKIT. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can do a little better than that for the Jam Kit Association for that wonderful rendition. And of course, what we are seeing so far, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, and what we'll continue to see for the entire ANSAR reunion and celebration is the theme being borne out very well. That is renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. We have seen the uniting of our people so far. And of course, what we are also seeing, we are seeing an excellent sample of all the rich talent that we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, it's not only the talent of our nationals, but of course, we always welcome the talent of our neighbors from the neighboring islands as well. And so we are so happy to and delighted to have our friends from Jamaica doing that wonderful rendition. And next, we are going to have a poem. And of course, we realize we have rich variety. We've seen dance, we've had singing, now we're going to have a poem. And that will be done by Miss Adela Mead. Miss Adela Francis Mead is a citizen of Montserrat, residing in Nevis since 2000. Adela has a passion for drama and has performed in plays including Five Star Follies and The Burial of Miss Faithlin. Well known for her dramatized poetry favorite, Miss Lou. And she has performed at numerous concerts, shows, and other special events. The poem Adela selected for this event is entitled Don't Cast Me Out by Gail Dore. Ladies and gentlemen, let's warmly welcome Miss Adela Mead.
Do not cast me out. You might need me again. I might be down, but I'll rise from these chains. My mind will be shackled free, and I'll get to the top, to where I must be. For shame, disgrace will be past. I will rise for you to see. From my cells I yearned. My God, I need you, I pray. I cried out loud because I wanted to see beyond the walls of darkness. I wanted to rush to get to the light. I had little time. I decided I would put up a fight. I called again, and this time the answer came. The doors were unlocked. The chains came off. I breathed a sigh of relief because I rise from the pressures that bombarded my reign. I ran to catch my freedom. It poured out like white rain. The darkness disappeared, and it was me. I stepped out into the light, and I picked up my duty. Now this is me. I did not keep myself in distress, disgrace, or misery. I said I shall rise again. Now look at me. But this is who I used to be.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mead. Wonderful presentation in the arts. And as we think about the importance of the arts to our country and to our culture, we really applaud Mrs. Mead for her work in this very important area. Our next presenter is a proponent of integration, of collaboration, of ensuring that our island and federation is marketed at the highest level. And to join me in welcoming none other than the Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis and Federal Minister with responsibility for foreign affairs and aviation. Premier Brantley.
Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies. Thank you as well, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, the protocol has been very ably established, but please permit me to recognize the Governor General's Deputy, Mr. Michael Morton, and Mrs. Morton, and of course our beloved Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris. They have journeyed over, like many of you, from St. Kitts for this launch of ANSAR and this 18th anniversary of your celebration right here in Queen City, Nevis. I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to say a few words to you and to welcome you. Perhaps over a year ago, Mr. James, who spoke to us earlier, came to my office and indicated that you wanted to host this event in St. Kitts and Nevis, and he wanted the participation of the Nevis Island administration. And we were very pleased that we had amongst us a young woman. I'm not sure where Sheila James was born, whether she was born here or she was born in Leeds. I like to think of her as my English friend. But we had her, and her competence is well known. And I said to Mr. James, I don't know if he's related to Sheila, but I said we have another James, Miss James, and perhaps she can be of assistance to you. And I'm absolutely delighted that what you're seeing is a consequence, a product, the end product, if you will, of that collaboration. I want you please to give Mr. James, Miss James, and the entire organizing committee a resounding round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this ANSAR journey for me has been quite instructive. I was in Montreal recently, and in speaking to some Nivisians and Kittitians in Montreal who are also Canadians, they indicated to me that they would be here for this celebration, and indeed I have seen some amongst this crowd. I realize that ANSAR, based on the dance that we saw put on earlier, that they have their own theme song, a calypso. I also realize that in their wisdom they have reversed the name. It used to be St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla. They are now Anguilla, Nevis, St. Kitts. And so ANSAR is quite a powerful organization, having its own song and its ability to rename entire regions and territories. And I welcome them. I have learned quite a bit. For example, as I sat there, I saw whom I thought to be 10 Nivisians come out, only to be told that they're from Jamaica. I have known most of them for a very long time, and I always thought that they were from here. But perhaps that is indicative of our country of St. Kitts and Nevis, how warm and welcoming we are, that wherever you may come from, once you're here, you feel welcomed. You become a part of us. And I want to just take a moment, because I know that my time is not long, to comment on what Mr. James pointed out about remittances. I grew up in an area of Nevis called Brown Hill. I grew up at a time when everybody in Nevis was poor. And so we didn't know that we were poor because the next person was just as poor as you were. And this notion of remittances is interesting, because prior to growing up in Brown Hill, I spent some years of my youth in an area called Hanley's Road, where I was born. And in Hanley's Road, we had one merchant who had a shop, a man they used to call Mr. Thompson. And it was the only time that I am aware of that you could go and get groceries on credit. And we used to go by Mr. Thompson's shop and take the little rice and little flour and whatever else we needed. And then at the end of the month, when my dad sent that little money from New York, we would go and we would pay Mr. Thompson. Those days, they didn't have up the signs which said credit is dead. You used to be able to get credit in those days. But when we moved to Brown Hill, I remember that my siblings and I used to stay on our little porch, and we used to count at Christmas time the number of barrels going into Brown Hill. Barrels from St. Thomas, from St. Croix, from St. Martin, even sometimes barrels from England. You know how many sweaters I don't wear from England? You know how hot it is in Nevis, and you put on turtleneck sweater on top of that? But of course, that was fashionable. If you could wear an English sweater in the noonday sun in Nevis, well, who was more fashionable than you? But ladies and gentlemen, that was symbolic of the remittances. You see, remittances were not only money. Remittances were people sending home clothing and food. And I've always said to the people who live here that we ought never to forget the contribution that our diaspora has made to our well-being. I welcome you home, ladies and gentlemen. You would have last been here celebrating 10 years ago. I welcome you to a prosperous St. Kitts and Nevis. I was very pleased recently to comment that under the stewardship of Prime Minister Harris, as our Prime Minister and our Minister of Finance, that St. Kitts and Nevis now has its highest GDP per capita that it has ever experienced in the history of our country. We, ladies and gentlemen, have the highest rate of growth in the OECS. We have the most important, influential, popular, and sought-after passport in the entire Eastern Caribbean. It is a very good time to be from St. Kitts and Nevis. And if you doubt it, just walk the streets of St. Kitts and Nevis. You hear now all kinds of languages, Spanish and French, Dutch and Paplamento. All kinds of languages, all kinds of people are gravitating towards our country. And so I use my few moments here at the podium today to say to you, welcome home. Because if St. Kitts and Nevis has now become good enough, prosperous enough, that we are welcoming people from other lands to come here, then it must mean that it is time for you who are out there also to come home and be a part of what we're doing here in our country. I say this last thing, that I am very fond of people in the diaspora. Because in my own interaction, whether I've gone to Canada, I've been to the US Virgin Islands, United States, United Kingdom, wherever it is that our people have gathered, I come away with the same conclusion, that our people have never left St. Kitts and Nevis in their hearts and in their minds. They may have relocated physically for purposes of advancing themselves economically or educationally, but they have never forgotten these two islands that bore them. They have never forgotten Anguilla, from whence they came. And so I want to say that this bond, this umbilical cord that connects us, can never be broken. And as transportation links increase, as it becomes easier to travel, as we now have the benefit of technology, the time has never been better for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and indeed the people of Anguilla, wherever you happen to live, to make your contribution. I am not just talking about remittances, although I noted when Mr. James spoke, and he said that St. Kitts and Nevis people send home more money than anybody else. I said, that's because we have a lot of rich people in the diaspora. Because you must have plenty of money if you could send home plenty of money. So we have a wealth of finances in the diaspora. And we welcome your investment in St. Kitts and Nevis. But that's not all. We also have a wealth of knowledge. We have a tremendous reservoir of capacity. We have a lot of bright people from St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla who have excelled in every field imaginable. You have doctors and lawyers and dentists and engineers and technicians of every sort, university professors. And one of the things that I've always commented on, that in our country, we are continually inviting people from elsewhere to come in to do studies and to give advice, when our own people in the diaspora have the expertise to offer that to us. So, my final pitch to you is keep sending the remittances because we like that. Keep investing because we like that. But more than that, please offer us your skills, your tremendous abilities, all the learning and knowledge that you would have acquired living in larger and in some respects more sophisticated societies. We, at this stage in our development, need those skills right here. And so we invite you to invest in St. Kitts and in Nevis. We invite you to invest in Anguilla. We invite you to be a part of the tapestry that is our country. It is our country. It is your country. And we welcome you as you go around today here in Nevis to look at the development that you would have seen. This very edifice that we are seated in. I recall that I brought a man here called Stephen Bird. And he came here, he's a producer of Broadway plays in New York. And when he came through the doors, he said, "My God, this is beautiful." Because even in major countries, they don't have a facility such as this that can seat 400 people in comfort to enjoy all the arts and the plays that we have to offer. This is one tangible sign of the progress that we would have made. When you drive around Nevis today, go visit all the historic sites. See the Four Seasons that has been purchased by Bill Gates and even now is undergoing a $40 million renovation. And then as you leave and you go back to St. Kitts, take some time and see the Park Hyatt. Brand new, the first ever Park Hyatt in the Caribbean. Right there in Sugar City, St. Kitts. We have, ladies and gentlemen, a lot that we can be proud of. We have good government. We have transparent government. We have respect for the rule of law. We have respect for our Constitution. We have governments that change. And since you last were here, we changed government in Nevis. We changed government in St. Kitts. You hear any problems? No problems. Because we have a mature democracy. And I believe that St. Kitts and Nevis have much that all of us can be proud of and much that all of us can boast of. And so I thank you for being here. I welcome all of you to my island, the island of Nevis. And I ask that you have a wonderful celebration for ANSAR. And I hope that I'm privileged enough to spend a bit of that with you, either here or on our sister island of St. Kitts. I wish you all the very best, God's blessings, and a wonderful, wonderful celebration for your 18th anniversary of ANSAR. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Premier Brantley. You went a little over time, but I don't dare chastise you. I'm a part of the Nevis Island administration that is ably led by Premier Brantley. And of course, he would have painted a wonderful picture of all of the developments that are taking place in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I know when the Prime Minister comes, he will endorse all of what was said and tell you even more. But I'm hoping that the Premier and the Prime Minister would not be putting themselves in trouble. Because if all of you lovely people decide to come back home, and some of you need jobs, I hope that the Premier and the Prime Minister will be able to rise to the challenge. All right, thank you very much, Premier Bradley. And now we'll move on, and now we'll hear from the NEPAC choir. Let's welcome the NEPAC choir, please.
Thank you very much, NEPA Choir, accompanied by the Sugar Hill String Band. And let me tell you all, if you know me, I'm one of the more conservative people, and I was down there rocking, and I had to turn over to Minister Inviolate and tell him, I'm not like you, I can't jig up. I wanted to do a jig coming up, but it would have been an epic fail, so I avoided that. But it was, in fact, a reflection of our culture and the talent that we have here. And I know some of you don't get to see it every day, every week, every month, every year, and so we want to try to make sure you get your fill before you leave. Let's give them another round of applause. I now call to the podium our Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Timothy Harris.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm hearing you. This has been a very good day so far, and I want to thank all the organizers and all of you who have come out this morning to make this grand opening as splendid as it has been. Give yourselves a round of applause. I adopt the protocol ably led before me. Suffice it that I must recognize the distinguished presence of our Deputy Governor General, Acting Mr. Michael Morton and Mrs. Morton, the Honorable Premier of Nevis, Mr. Eric Evelyn, and all other representatives, both of the federal government and of the Nevis Island administration. Of course, we want to especially mention Mr. James and his organizing committee for the wonderful experience they have presented to all of us. Give Mr. James and Ms. James a round of applause and all those who have been working with them. When we enjoy, as many of us have been, the cultural expressions which have come before me, you could appreciate why St. Kitts and Nevis is so deeply loved and cherished by so many people from all walks of life and from everywhere. The rendition just did by the choir, or renditions, were truly excellently done, and I believe they deserve another round of applause. Look how far we have come, from the brown girls in the ring, cha-la-la-la-la, to the Union Jack, and now how much we stand so proud. And I'm sure many of you reminisce on your days of playing and singing Brown Girl in the Ring. So it was lovely to hear them and to be reminded. I am greatly honored to be part of this important gathering, which has brought this patriotic audience of both long-time residents and recently returning nationals and friends back to our federation. Our returning nationals, particularly you who have taken too long to return, I must extend on behalf of the federal government a special welcome back home. I trust that you all are well impressed with the wonderful improvements that you have seen on the ground here in Nevis, and the Honorable Premier outlined just a few. And of course, the improvements are visible not only on my father's land of Nevis, but also on the island of St. Kitts. Last night I met and greeted many of you at the meet and greet at the Marriott Ballroom. that too was a wonderful experience. So those who have planned this event deserve again another round of applause. I want to let all of you know that I appreciate the advice, the encouragement, and support which many of you preferred in our interaction last night. You have noted, as you ought to, that increasing numbers of our people are making their mark on this little twin island paradise called St. Kitts and Nevis, where now more than ever before, everyone is being given an opportunity to thrive and succeed and make a good life for themselves and their families. The Honorable Premier outlined the fact that our people are thriving in important fields, in education, in business, in sports, the arts and technology. And my government is committed to creating an environment conducive to personal and professional development. As you take note of some of the areas of deficiencies in St. Kitts and Nevis, I hope that you will encourage members of our diaspora to return home to serve and advance the development of our country. Erica asks if we are ready to employ you. I said, yes, the government is, but the private sector is also waiting for you. Whether it is to achieve entrepreneurship, property ownership, or wealth, whatever our people's hopes and aspirations, we as a government and people are committed to make things happen for all. We are about opening doors and creating opportunities through service and empowerment. We are working hard to ensure that everyone has a piece of the rock and everyone can increase their stake in our beloved country, this the land of birth of so many. In this regard, our housing programs in St. Kitts and Nevis are adding an impressive number of persons to the list of first-time property owners. And for this, I want to say thanks to all the participants, including our social security scheme that has facilitated in the region of $50 million for home building on the island of Nevis and on the island of St. Kitts. Let's salute the Social Security Board with a round of applause. Recently, the federal government launched a $30 million government employee property ownership program. This again is to allow people to have a stake, an enduring stake in the land of their birth. Our Fresh Start program, which was introduced a few years ago, has provided a financial wherewithal for our small business persons, our fishers and farmers and craft operators to access affordable financing. Since 2015, over $50 million has been lent on to just about 700 small businesses in the Federation, giving them a new lease on life. Oh, let's give them a round of applause. Our country has its fair share of challenges, and we heard that when our dear Reverend and friend spoke or rendered the prayer. But over the past 3 years plus, it has become the envy of the region. More and more people are coming to St. Kitts and Nevis with no plans to return. St. Kitts and Nevis is the greener pasture for many Caribbean people, north, south, east, and west. We do not mind others contributing to our development, but of course we want all of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to be part of our success story and to lead as successful participants of our nation's success and progress. We as a people have much to thank God for, and I encourage us to count our blessings. Count them one by one, and it will surprise you how much God has done. On the heels of the opening of the luxurious Park Hyatt Hotel, and with the forthcoming arrival of the Six Senses, another luxury brand in La Valley, Sandy Point, and the Ritz-Carlton luxury brands, we are well on our way to become the tourist destination with the largest number of branded luxury property hotels anywhere in the world. This is a marked achievement for St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to join in the invitation extended by the Premier of Nevis to all of you who are visiting here to make sure that you add the Park Hyatt to your itinerary. I understand that lunch will be at the expense of the Honorable Premier personally, so I invite you to go. On the cruise side of our tourism plan, we are gearing up to welcome 1.5 million visitors to our shores, a new record for the smallest democratic country in the Western Hemisphere. Indeed, on Monday, there is a special program put on by the Ministry of Tourism as we honor the visitor who would number 1 million. Furthermore, we have started a $48 million pair. That is our second cruise pair. And this will add to the remarkable success of our cruise industry. Significantly, 35 years after attaining independence, the sister islands are not only sharing in the prosperity of the global economy, but we also share an unparalleled sense of camaraderie and closeness. That is because our Team Unity government ushered in a never-before-seen coming together of the federal government in Basseterre and the Nevis Island administration in Charlestown. We came together to advance the welfare of all the people, and we have devoted every waking moment in the cause of the people's empowerment. This strengthening of bonds has seen the establishment of regular budgetary support to the Nevis Island administration. And this support, of course, has created unprecedented benefits for the people on the island of Nevis. Now, 3.5 years later, channeling the spirit of unity that is permeating the nation, we have the coming of ANSAR. And of course, we welcome the opening ceremony which is taking place here in beautiful Queen City of Nevis. This, of course, is happening for the first time. And for that, we thank Mr. James and Ms. James. We thank the federal government and the NIA for making this dual experience part of the planned program of ANSAR. It is, in fact, the third time that ANSAR is being hosted in the Federation. ANSAR came to Basseterre, I am advised, in 1988 and again in 2008. And we are now back here in 2018. I take this opportunity to congratulate the St. Kitts Nevis Returning Nationals Association for winning the bid to host this year's reunion, which is being held under the theme, Renewing and Strengthening Our Relations, Celebrating Our Achievements and Uniting Our People. At this moment in time, I believe that there is no better theme to celebrate ANSAR. I also believe that the holding of the opening ceremony right here at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, NIPAC, is a nice symbolic gesture of unity, which has been a touchstone of ANSAR over the last 34 years. After all, ANSAR has had the distinction of reuniting far-flung friends and families since the early 1980s, when the idea originated among a group of our nationals in Canada and in particular Montreal. Among the founding leaders were Faustina France Carbonneau. Let's give her and the executive body a round of applause. ANSAR, of course, have had to evolve from its annual meetings, which were held every year starting in 1984 and continued up until 1988 in, I think it was, Bastille. But you have gone to New York City in 1985. Toronto had its turn in 86. And then you went to Buffalo, New York in 1987. Between 1990 and 94, ANSAR was held every other year. In Toronto in 1990, then Birmingham in 1992, and back again to New York in 1994. After a break, you have resumed again. And this time you're more energized because you have planned to keep these very important events every 2 years. We thank you for making St. Kitts and Nevis the destinations of choice for 2018. Let me end by again congratulating our returning National Secretariat for creating an exciting and engaging lineup of ANSAR events for 2018. This year's ANSAR will surely build friendships and connections. Mr. James said contribute to the economy. And I could well advise that Marriott is full and has been full for the past couple of days. More of you are yet to come. Please encourage them to come early. And of course, we have a splendid opportunity to improve dialogue and cooperation among our nationals who reside abroad as well as those here. And the government looks forward to good interaction with you. I want finally to remind you of a poem that was penned especially for ANSAR 2008. My advice is that it was written by Rosamond Payne and musically composed by Sean Collins. It says in part, and I read, "We are all different, but we are the same, coming together to make a change, surrounded by people, family and friends, caring for each other and working on ahead. In unity, working in harmony, calling all nationals across generations. Come and celebrate. Have a good time today. We are special, and don't forget that you are." The chorus to the song says, "One people, one purpose, working together for progress. One people, one purpose, working together for prosperity." This song is full of substance and meaning for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We want to work together for the welfare of every Kittitian and every Nevisian and everyone who reside in our beautiful Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We can do it with each of us making a splendid contribution. But we must rise to the occasion. Rise to occasion to build a federation that is strong and beautiful, not only with regards to the physicality of our lands, strong and beautiful, because the inner person, full of compassion, full of love, full of a commitment to service, is committed by each act to make our federation great. May God bless the wonderful people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and may God keep our federation always safe. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, Prime Minister Harris. And just in case I would have created any doubt, Prime Minister Harris have put that to rest, that the government, the federal government, is ready to welcome and ready to outfit you with jobs. And of course, there is truly today an affair that is uniting all of us. We've heard from the Prime Minister and the Premier, and they both eloquently outlined all of the developments that are taking place here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And they are all facts. They are all facts. And so those of you who are here who have been to the Federation for quite some time, I'm sure that you would realize that even though you're here for fun for the next couple of days, you would also realize that St. Kitts and Nevis is in great hands. St. Kitts and Nevis is in great hands of the Prime Minister, Harris, Premier Brantley, and unity. All right, we'll move on now, and we will have the Junior Calypso Monarch of Nevis, Mr. Teron Webb. Teron has always loved music and singing. As a baby, he hummed along and beat on the table while his grandfather, who is a musician, practiced his music. Growing up, he sang a lot in the shower, so his mother decided to let him enter the Nevis Culturama Festival Junior Calypso competition to showcase his singing talent as a summer activity. He placed second runner-up on his first time entering. He was 9 years old, and first runner-up the next few years after that, and won the title in 2017. His first time competing in the St. Kitts and Nevis National Carnival was 2015. He won the primary school junior calypso competition, and again in 2016 and 2017. He made history with the three-peat. Teron loves to sing, and he's looking forward to future competitions to gain experience as his musical career grows. The song he's going to do for us today is entitled Soca Media Addiction, and it is a song that won the hearts of the judges in 2017. Let's welcome Teron Webb.
Use social media in moderation. Tell the young generation obsession leads to addiction. When they become addicted, their whole life affected. Stay off them smartphone before you catch social media syndrome. All night the texting, all day the posting, tweeting, they are addicted. I give it. Why? Hey. Y'all like that? Why Prime Minister still smiling, boy? Young people addicted to the internet. Their symptoms easy to detect. Enslaved to the technology, excessive time and money. Living a fake life online, the real life in decline. A fatal surrender to social media. SMA. I want the young generation use social media in moderation. Tell the young generation obsession leads to addiction. When they become addicted, them whole life affected. Stay off them smartphone before you catch social media syndrome. Oh yes, all night they texting, all day they posting, tweeting, they are addicted. I give it. Young people have a mindset that unfolds on the internet. They now have a platform to gossip and misinform. Living a fake life online, the real life in decline. Fatal surrender to social media. SMA. I want the young generation use social media in moderation. Tell the young generation obsession leads to addiction. When they become addicted, their whole life affected. Stay off them smartphone before you catch social media syndrome. Oh yeah, all night they texting, all day they posting, tweeting, they are addicted. I give it. Why? Hey. Alive? You know me not alive, boy. Why? They must use social media to shape their own future, to research, get knowledge, to pave the way for college. Numerous agencies providing remedies for young generation to create a better nation. SMA. I want the young generation to social media in moderation. Tell the young generation obsession leads to addiction. When they become addicted, their whole life affected. Stay off them smartphone before you catch social media syndrome. All night they texting, all day they posting, tweeting, they are addicted. Give me. Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't get it any better than the Invincible. That's his calypso name, the Invincible. And you know, when I sat there, I've been sitting there all morning, I've been so very proud of all the performances here on stage as the Minister of Culture. Culture in Neve is definitely in good hands. And of course, we see it in the young Invincible there. And Invincible, I think you'll need to send a copy of that song to Donald Trump. We'll try FedEx a copy by Monday morning to the White House. All right. We have some more talent coming now. We just heard from the Invincible. And now we're going to have the Nevis folklore dancers with a cakewalk. Let's welcome them, please.
Let's give them another round of applause. I think the organizers are trying to send me a message that I should learn to jig and dance to the string band. You realize each time they come out, I have to follow them? I have to work on that for the next time. Wonderfully done. And of course, we want to thank the Nevis folklore dancers, and they are carrying on the legacy of the late, great Darrell Dorr, and that, as Minister Evelyn said before, was the cakewalk. We are at the point in our program where we will have our keynote address, and prior to our speaker coming forward, I will read her profile. The youngest of 5 children representing a vibrant, warm, multifaceted culture of Caribbean heritage and lineage, her parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents originated from the beautiful islands of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Dominican Republic, also known as Santo Domingo. Miss Shez Christopher, LLB, MA, was born in the cold UK. Shez regards herself as a Kittian citizen of dual nationality and plays an active part in the Caribbean diaspora in bringing and bridging the commonalities of good business ethics together, strengthening inter-island relations and maximizing awareness of unifying accomplishments. As an entrepreneur at a young age, Shez first commenced her own international business of marketing, ordering, selling, and distributing Christian garments before entering the property development market. With the gains, she became a proprietor by the age of 21, and it is safe to say that by the age of 30, she had a portfolio of several sustainable properties. As a long-standing qualified British lawyer and a civil commercial mediator, Shez is always at the cutting edge of litigation, resolving disputes in the courtroom, the boardroom, or alternative dispute resolution forums. In addition to being the co-founder of a newly formed Kittitian business, HDC Consultancy, Shez is the author of the course Parenting Skills, a motivational CD entitled Positive Talk for Kids, and the renowned women's magazine, Woman to Woman, for Men Too. On a voluntary capacity, Shez serves as the North London Regional Women's Director, where she is responsible for training, motivating, sharing new ideas, and inspiring over 500 women between the ages of 18 and 99. When asked what is the ethos upon which she builds, Shez replied, "The book of Proverbs. It gave me 3 fundamentals. 1, perceiving that I had an innate ability to articulate myself in written or spoken format. Proverbs 31 has always been my motivation for informing and helping others. This would steer me into a career of either journalism or the legal profession. 2, the first half of Proverbs 6, especially verses 6 to 8, and Proverbs 18, verse 32, taught me that poverty would not belong to me, my family, or any that would lend me their ears. It is my responsibility to pass on and leave behind a wealth of knowledge for those to come. 3, lastly and most importantly is to honor fathers and mothers, to look after and cater for seniors as valuable contributors, to treat them as we want to be treated, irrespective of age." Other than the legal business, training, and motivational sides of Shez, she's a mother of 1 son who's a pilot and a foster mother to many. She also enjoys being fit, writing poetry, healthy eating, and creative cooking with her own YouTube channel. What does your future hold, Shez? To become a judge who can exercise the wisdom of Solomon. Let us give a warm Nevis St. Kitts Nevis and ANSAR welcome to Miss Shez Christopher, LLB, MA.
ANSAR, all protocol observed. However, I would also like to greet, first of all, the Deputy General Governor, Mr. Michael Morton, the Premier of Nevis, and the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Greetings from the diaspora of London. I'd also like to greet all other members of the Cabinet, distinguished guests, citizens of Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, and for everybody who has travelled from abroad, the global diaspora, ANSAR 2018 welcomes you. Give yourself a cheer. More particularly, we'd like to big up Calvin James and his team for making this vision possible. I find it an honour and a privilege to stand here before you. I consider this my home. Coming from the diaspora to the beautiful heat, a culture full of vibrance, to come home, to reunite, to reevaluate, to strengthen, and to move forward. Firstly, when I looked at the motto, renewing, strengthening our relations and celebrating our achievements, uniting our people, I thought, what could I say to a people who know so much already? What could I add from a diaspora perspective? And I said to myself, it's time to connect. It's time to connect and to mind the gap. You may think, what gap? So the acronym of this presentation will be GAP, G-A-P. And that's in relation to ANSAR, and it simply stands for growth, advancement, and our purpose. But GAP also has a meaning which I would like to flag up with a red flag. A gap is often an unseen space, which, if not seen, can lead to your downfall. You often hear in London when you're about to board the trains, mind the gap. Because it's a space that you can fall between. When people are confidently going about their journey, if they don't see a gap in the pavement, they could trip and hurt themselves. When businesses think that they're flying, if they don't see gaps in the market, they could financially fall and end up in ruins. When governments don't cater for the gaps in society, you have a new government in power. And we welcome the current government of unity. Can we give them a hand? So first of all, I just wanted to say, really, as the author of the magazine, I do have some magazines here, so please see my team from London, and they will be able to provide you with a magazine. I couldn't be here today without acknowledging my parents, my mother, Margaret Christopher, and Roberta Christopher from the beautiful islands of St. Kitts. Can we give them a round of applause? And of course, the team that has travelled with me from London in support from the various Caribbean islands to come to the Federation and to see the beauty of what St. Kitts and Nevis is all about. We welcome you too from London and St. Kitts. Considering the purpose of ANSAR, there's an old saying, an old adage, which you may already have known. It simply says, write the vision and make it plain, that all who see it may run with it. So ANSAR has done a fantastic job so far in celebrating 18 years and making its vision clear, making those who know of ANSAR desirous to be a part of it. But in making ANSAR clear and establishing its purpose, I would like to share this. I travelled down on a plane of 375 people, and I made it my business to ask many of them, are you going home to St. Kitts for ANSAR? Only 3 people knew of ANSAR, of all the people travelling to St. Kitts and Nevis. Prior to coming to ANSAR, I put on the social media page the ANSAR flyer, to which many people said, what is this? What is that about? There is a large diaspora population in Europe, Canada, and America whom we have not yet tapped into, whose contributions to this great island and to ANSAR are also great. But in order to reach those people in the diaspora to come out and be a part, it is a matter of making our vision plain and clear for them all to see. Do you agree with that? I expect that the next ANSAR in 2 years' time should house at least 7,000 people, at least 6,000 from the diaspora, and we will make room for the local nationals. Is that okay, Premier and Prime Minister? We do hope that you have a forum to accommodate us, because we will be growing in numbers as our purpose is made clear. Other than writing the vision to make it clear, I would say, if you don't have a vision which is made clear, the organization may not grow, it may become stagnant, because those who do know may eventually dwindle away. And if we don't pass that information on to the younger generation, then we ourselves, thank you, fall within the gap. Do you remember what GAP stood for? It's a quick test. What did GAP stand for? Growth, advancement, and purpose. But it also stood for to remind you that we have to always be aware of the gap of complacency, the gap of not advancing our vision and making it clear. When I think of ANSAR, it's coming from a beautiful small island, a vision of somebody, and I appreciate that it may be hindered by finances. I appreciate that the organisers may want to do much, much more, but for funding. Lack of funding can also kill any great dream. You have members from the diaspora who are part of Europe, Canada, and America. There are so many European trade agreements, American trade agreements, Canadian trade agreements that fund events just like this. The key here is to tap in to the funding, to establish ANSAR, to increase those coming to the Federation. You know the old saying, if you don't ask, you don't get. I'm saying tap in to the trade agreements. I think St. Kitts and Nevis have just entered some, and there is funding available. Okay. I'd also like to say, in keeping to your purpose, never get distracted. Sometimes an organization can grow, and then they may steer away from their purpose a little bit. When you steer away from your fundamentals that you have established your principles on, there's a danger of falling within the gap. And this little story, I hope, will explain that. There was a gentleman employed as a security guard, and his whole purpose was to protect the firm, the company, and its belongings. And every evening, as the business was closing, one gentleman would be coming out, and he had a wheelbarrow. And he was wheeling out that wheelbarrow, and the security guard said, "One moment, what have you got in that wheelbarrow?" And the gentleman said, "Oh, just some sawdust in a little box." And the security guard, knowing his job, being to protect, knowing his purpose, to protect the property, said, "Open the wheelbarrow, open the box, let me have a look." And he opened it, and it was just a box of sawdust. That was Monday. Tuesday, close of business, the same gentleman coming out with the wheelbarrow. Again, the security guard said, "Can you stop a moment? What have you got in that wheelbarrow?" "Just some sawdust." And he opened it and showed him. And this continued for 5 days. The security guard said on the 6th day, I think that you're doing something wrong. I just cannot put my hand on it. He said, if you tell me what you're doing, I promise I won't let you get in trouble. But I have a feeling that you're doing something wrong. So the person said, okay, since you've promised, I will tell you. I'm stealing wheelbarrows. But you see what happened there? The security guard took his eyes off of the purpose. His whole job was to protect. His whole being was to secure. ANSAR's purpose is to reunite, to re-educate, to rekindle, to share information. And we cannot afford to take our eyes off of our purpose for any reason, lest we get distracted and ANSAR doesn't exist. I think I would say to the Premier and to the Prime Ministers and to the leaders, ANSAR is the answer. ANSAR and its capabilities is the answer to re-engaging the diaspora, not just financially, as has been said, but the skills of the diaspora to come in and to contribute to this beautiful federation. Somebody said, will the government create jobs for us or give us jobs? We will make our own jobs. We will make our own jobs. And that's who we are. We're part of St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla. And this is our home. And we want to come back with a wealth of knowledge to support ANSAR, to build on your purpose, to make it our purpose and the purposes of our children's children. The second thing, other than purpose, is growth. In order for any organization to be sustainable in this ever-changing world, we have to grow. And I appreciate currently ANSAR is primarily to cater for the returning nationals, many of whom are retiring. But there are also a generation of young, vibrant, young men and women who are able, who know not yet of the beauty of the Federation and Anguilla. And these are your future. These are the future of ANSAR here in St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla. But unless we capture the youth, who are the lifeblood of any nation, how can we grow? Do you agree with that? So therefore, my encouragement would be, in addition to the returning nationals who are retiring, I would say to ANSAR, let's incorporate the youth in our programs. Tell your daughters, tell your sons, tell your nephews and your nieces, each one, bring one. Each one encourage somebody to come home and to partake in ANSAR. Least we fall within the gap of generational separation and ANSAR ceasing to exist. In relation to growth, one of the things I'd like to say about your vision and your purpose, and I'm combining these two. Many of us know the visions and the goals of ANSAR, and we can see today the result of fine, dedicated workmanship. And therefore, we can all celebrate together. What I would say here is always spread the glory that is given downwards. So if the Prime Minister is congratulated or the Premier is congratulated, they pass it on to their team, their employees, their workers, and to the nation at large. And so with ANSAR, when you have done, as you have done today, such an excellent job, don't forget to share that achievement and to pass it down to everybody who has contributed, from your team, from those in Europe, those in Canada, and North America. And I'll explain it with this short story. When you have a football match, or soccer, as some of you may call it, everybody knows the purpose of the game. And when the team scores, who celebrates? It's a question. Who celebrates when a team scores? Everybody celebrates because everybody was aware of the purpose. And likewise today, we are all going to be celebrating because we're all aware of the purpose of ANSAR. In relation to growth and the young people, sometimes their ideas may be a bit different to ours. I say ours like I'm not young. I think I'm still a bit young. Just about. Sometimes they operate from a platform of a radio station called WIIFM. And that simply stands for What's in It for Me. It's no longer the generation where they say, okay, I'll help, I'll do this. They want to know what's in it for me. And rightly so. So ANSAR, if you're hoping to attract the younger generation to come home to the islands, we have to be prepared to have a program which indicates something's in it for them. Investments in the country, creation of jobs in the country, exchange of skills and information with the local beautiful people of the islands. I would promote that when you have the returning nationals coming home, they come home with an arsenal of information, skills, knowledge, and abilities. Don't let those skills go to waste. Perhaps buddy them up with the youth of your land in a buddy-senior relationship where they can transfer that knowledge and skills onto the younger generation. And in return, the younger nationals of the island can update those who have been away for 50 years, 60 years, with advancements that have happened. So that's a positive thing that can happen with those returning home. With the younger people who we're trying to attract to come home, and with the young personnel here in the islands, I would say this. In order to engage the youth with the diaspora youth, a suggestion is an exchange program, which can be funded, hopefully, by European governments if we tap into the right sources, where your youth can come to the diaspora, experience the culture, and the diaspora youth can come home and experience the culture. Therewith, you're building a bridge across the generations, encouraging investment, job opportunities, and creation of wealth. It was said to me, we have a challenge in St. Kitts with seaweed on our beaches. And we may be looking to get some high-power people in to deal with it. And my response was, what about the people, your own people of the diaspora who are qualified? What about your own people who can share their knowledge and help eradicate this and turn it around to a financial gain? So the ethos here in relation to growth is use your people, utilize skills, share knowledge, and exchange information. As John F. Kennedy said, now is the call to action. It's not time for us to ask, what can the Federation do for us? But what can we do for the Federation? With this mentality instilled in our seniors, middle-aged, and youth, that we are here to contribute to the Federation, as Donald Trump said, to make it great again. Although it is already great, we really want to manifest that motto, what we can do for the Federation and not what the Federation can do for us. As I recap and as I come down towards advancement, ANSAR moving forward, make your vision known, write it, and make it clear so that all can run with it. Stay focused on your purpose and try not to be distracted, as in the wheelbarrow scenario. For growth is an essential reaching part to the youth to be involved in your future. Establish youth connections and exchange scheme. Introduce senior and young person mentor buddy scheme. And in this ever-changing world, keep learning, keep developing your attitude, your skills, and your knowledge. The company that I have in St. Kitts, called HDC, is a service provider. And we operate in the Eastern Caribbean, and we're specifically here to help those returning nationals, young and old, to set up businesses in the Caribbean. Having come home myself, in part, not in full yet, you can find there are often difficulties and obstacles that are strange to somebody from abroad to overcome. Little innate red tape. So we've managed to buddy up with people in different government departments to make it easier for people to come home, to provide service packages if you need to open a business, get a license, whatever it is you need. HDC Consultancy is a part of that solution. So do see me and my team afterwards. Whatever ANSAR does, from here on, in advancement, I'd say enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Because whether you travel first class, or economy, or premium, you're all going to the same place. Whether you have a Rolex watch or a Citizen watch, it tells the same time, and time is limited for us all. Whether you have an iPhone X or a little HDC or motto, it still can communicate. So enjoy in your journey, build relationships, build bridges, and concentrate on those things that are important. Thank you very much, ANSAR.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, please give her another round of applause. I don't think we could have had a better choice of a keynote speaker. Excellent food for thought, and we thank you so very much, and I'm sure ANSAR is thanking you for all of those recommendations as well. Very well done indeed. Thank you very much, Miss Shez Christopher. I know we've been sitting here for quite some time, so we are winding down. And so we will now bring to the stage our final performance that will be done by the Sugar Hill String Band. Let's welcome them, please.
Thank you, Sugar Hill String Band. And you see that point has just been proven. Once again, I'm here. I have to learn. We now go into the presentation of awards, and we call on Miss Kalitra Swanston, the reigning Miss Culture, to present the first award. And the first award will be presented to the chair of ANSAR 2018, Mr. Calvin James. Mr. James, can you please come forward? Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much, Mr. James. Let's give him another round of applause for a job well done. Thank you, Mr. James. I now call forward Miss Ches Christopher, our guest keynote speaker. Let's give her another round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Ms. Christopher, and thank you, Ms. Culture. I now call on the representative from ANSAR who will deliver the vote of thanks. Correction, representatives.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me adopt the protocol that was already established. The Bible says, in everything we must give thanks. Distinguished delegates, all our overseas friends, ladies and gentlemen, we deem it a great privilege and honor to have been asked to extend the vote of thanks on ANSAR's 18th year of celebrations under the theme, renewing and strengthening our relations, celebrating our achievements, and uniting our people. On behalf of ANSAR, I would like to convey sincere thanks to all the participants who have participated in making ANSAR a success. First, let me thank Reverend Salmon James for invoking God's presence. I would also like to thank Honorable Eric, Evelyn, and Zanelia Claxton for their proficient way in which they have chaired the proceedings. And to Devani Cornelius, we say thank you for singing the St. Kitts and Nevis National Anthem. Our sincere appreciation to Shekinah Dance Theatre, the NCDF Folklore Dancers, Jamaican Kittitian Association, Sugar Hill String Band Melody, and NEPAC Choir for their melodious music, dance, and cultural performances. I also wish to express my gratitude to Miss Mead for her beautiful poem, I Will Rise Again, and to the youth Calypsonian, Teron Webb, for his lovely rendition.
A special thank you to the Nevis Island Administration, management and staff of NEPAC, Tropical Blossom, Cornerstone, Ms. Sheila James, ground staff at Waterfront, protocol team, bus and taxi services. Thank you all very much.
We are extremely thankful to Mr. Calvin James, the chair of ANSAR 2018, for his opening remarks and the support for the ANSAR events. I must also mention our deep sense of appreciation to Honorable Mark Brantley, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Tourism, for your wholehearted support, for your encouragement, and for your generosity, and for your enlightening speech. Thank you. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, for his presence, his educational speech, his financial assistance, and support for this ANSARS event. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. We are extremely grateful to our keynote speaker, Ms. Shez Christopher, for her gracious presence and for inspiring and uplifting message. Thank you. Last but not least, my sincere thanks to ANSAR Organizing Committee and everyone else who worked tirelessly in putting this ANSAR event together. Thank you, may God bless you, and do enjoy the sumptuous lunch prepared for you. Thank you.
Don't leave just yet, please. Please, 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 please. Don't leave just yet. You need to show some respect for those in authority. Thank you. I want to thank the two ladies for giving the vote of thanks. And once again, I would just like to say thanks for having myself and Zanella hosting the activity today. And once again, commendation to Mr. James and his team and Sheila James and Nevis. So we have a lunch in the courtyard that will be served. And of course, the lunch is sponsored by the Premier's Ministry. And we'll ask all who are here now to kindly stand as we have the departure of the Premier, the Prime Minister, and the Deputy Governor General. Thank you.
Represent the students of 4A1 Room 2, and you are watching NTV. CSS, we large and in charge.
Gala WhatsApp and I send text. Me see the SMS. Me a fish show.
Send me a pic of yourself. One of you know where.
I have too much self-respect to send you a pic of you know where.
If you really love me, you will do it.
If you really love me, you wouldn't ask.
You matter to your family, to your friends, to your community, to you. Remember, you matter.
This message was brought to you by the Pan American Health Organization. Yo, this is Mr. Mention and represent for Culture Armor. Fet, Food, Folklore, Culture Armor.